Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about phases of gait, since a lot of these things that we're going to do are gait specific or things that we're looking at trying to make little tweaks to try and emulate gait as best as we can. So this one we're going to talk about transformational zone 1 first, which is that load response towards mid-stance. Important things to think about with TZ1 is that it occurs due to the contact of the lateral condyle and then ground reaction force and anatomy. The shape of the talus is one of the things that's going to help create the chain reaction that occurs with TZ1. Also important to think about it as being bottom up, meaning that it occurs when our foot hits the ground, and then the chain reaction of things that occur from the foot further upwards. We're going to go ahead and do this barefoot because gait is barefoot. So with this one, we're going to go into ankle or talocrural dorsiflexion. For all of these ones, I'm going to break them down into sagittal, frontal, and then transverse plane, just because that is the easiest way to kind of break down those three planes of motion, since we're looking at each of the joints in the lower body at each plane of motion. So we're going to go into dorsiflexion. With that dorsiflexion, we're going to get calcaneal eversion as the lateral condyle hits, and then the foot comes down and in. The shape of the talus creates some of that down and in, creating the tibial internal rotation that occurs with that. Feel okay there? So with that one, we're going to get rear foot eversion, but forefoot inversion. So those are some of the terms. The FF is forefoot, INV is inversion, RF is rear foot. We also have MF, which is not in here. That's midfoot. EV is our eversion. The big part with TZ1 is that we are trying to unlock the foot so that the foot can contour to our support surface. So we should have an unlocked midfoot with a calcaneal eversion and forefoot inversion. Next up, the knee in sagittal plane. We're going into flexion. Frontal plane, we are getting abduction as my knee is coming inwards. This is named for the distal bone. So in this case, where the tibia is going into an abducted position. And then it is internally rotating. Both bones are coming down and inwards towards midline. Hip, we're getting hip flexion. Because my pelvis is translating, I'm also getting hip abduction and internal rotation, facilitated by the tibial internal rotation. It's facilitated by the calcaneal eversion. TZ1, my pelvis in the sagittal plane is going to be anteriorly tilting. Frontal plane, we get two different motions. I get a lateral flexion away, or a side bend away from my front leg and gait, but I also get a frontal plane translation that's occurring here as I'm taking my existing center of mass over my new base of support. With this one, I'm also getting a rotation away from my front leg and gait. So left rotation, left lateral flexion. Right frontal plane translation. How we doing with that? Good? Okay. There's a reason that I wrote all of these out for you as opposed to making you guys fill this stuff in. TZ2, transformational zone 2, which is going to be our mid stance towards heel off. This is created by mass and momentum of the body moving forward in space, as well as the swing leg coming forward. This is created top down, meaning that the chain reaction that occurs here is happening because of the trunk and torso and pelvic movement moving forward over my fixed leg. Pelvis is still going to do that anterior tilt. Now I'm kind of flipping it and doing right TZ2 since it's closer. So I'm going to get that lateral flexion towards my back leg and gait. I'm going to get that frontal plane translation away from my back leg and gait. And I'm going to get that pelvic rotation towards my back leg and gait. That's going to result in my hip going into extension, abduction, and a relative internal rotation. It's a relative internal rotation because my femur is externally rotating in real space. However, my pelvis is rotating faster and further. So at this point, my femur is rotating right into external rotation. My pelvis is rotating right faster, so I'm going to end up with relative internal rotation at the femur. Kind of tracking? Okay. That's one of the harder parts, so if we got that, we're going to be good. Knee, we're going into extension, adduction, and external rotation. Kind of based on that chain reaction that's occurring. Mass of momentum is coming forwards, my hip is extending, so my foot is still planted. My mass of momentum is still carried forward to create that knee extension as well. The external rotation is occurring from the mass of momentum of everything rotating to the right, creating that femoral rotation that creates the tibial external rotation. Okay? Last one is going to be the ankle. We're going into dorsiflexion. Again, same mass of momentum coming forwards. Subtalar joint or calcaneal inversion, because that mass of momentum and rotational torque from the femur to the tibia into the calcaneus is inverting it, creating a rigid lever for propulsion. So that's our tibial external rotation is part of that component. So with this one, important things for TZ2, especially for foot mechanics. We want that calcaneal inversion to occur to create a rigid lever for propulsion. If I am pushing off of a floppy foot because my calcaneus is everted or pronated, then I have just kind of a bag of bones at the bottom of my foot. That is muscularly very, very challenging for my Achilles, my posterior tib, my peroneals. This is where we can get into some of those tendonitis type issues. So that real external rotation lockup is really important for us. Questions on TZ1, TZ2 with gait? Cool. Eden, go ahead and pause me. I gotta give you a better